Prison life is tough for Diddy. At his latest bail hearing, he looked much thinner. Now, reports say his family is staying away from him because of rumors about his alleged sexual relationships with them.
Hearing started, it was interesting too because this time around, Diddy was brought in first. He was brought in about a couple minutes after 2 p.m. today, and we were all kind of waiting to see. We had heard mumblings that his mom might be in courtroom, that we were waiting for the children, but then nothing happened. But then, in another twist and turn, the children do walk in, but this time it was a lot smaller bunch than it was the last time. So last time you're having all of Diddy's children except with the exception of Love, who is just a 2-year-old child, so she wasn't at court, but you had all of Diddy's children there except Love. But this time around you just had Justin Combs and Christian Combs, meaning that there was no Quincy there today. Delilah and Jesse weren't there, Chance wasn't there, and the caretakers of his younger children who aren't of age just yet, they were not present inside the courtroom as well today. But his mom also wasn't in court today. So when Diddy came inside, it was still that standard issued MDC jumpsuit. He's wearing khaki. From that video of, I think that was obtained by Daily Mail back in September, of Diddy playing hacky sack in Central Park, to now he appeared just astonishingly thinner, which you can expect to be inside a federal detention center for a couple months now. A lot different from the luxury lifestyle that he was living before, but he appeared very noticeably thinner, and maybe being locked up in detention is starting to wear on him. He appeared grayer a little bit as well too, but again, he appeared just...
Diddy's sons, Justin and Christian Combs, were at his bail hearing, but the rest of his family was missing. Both Justin and Christian are facing sexual assault lawsuits linked to Diddy, and they could end up in prison like their father. Former music producer Lil Rod sued Diddy for sexual assault in August. In his lawsuit, Lil Rod said Justin Combs often attended Diddy's wild parties and helped find underage girls for him. There are also claims that Diddy forced victims to sleep with prostitutes while he watched and recorded. Back in February, Lil Rod accused Justin of arranging prostitutes, underage girls, and sex workers. The lawsuit even includes a photo of Justin with an allegedly underage girl. Lil Rod claims that one night, a young girl was brought to Diddy's home for a listening party, and a freak-off took place. That same night, Lil Rod says Diddy made him drink something laced with drugs, and he woke up naked next to a sex worker at 4 a.m. Justin is a defendant in this case because Lil Rod says he helped Diddy run his alleged criminal enterprise. In court documents, Lil Rod describes an incident on September 12, 2022, at Diddy's Chalice Studios. He says Diddy, Justin, and Justin's friend G were there when gunshots were fired. Lil Rod found G bleeding on the bathroom floor and tried to help him. He asked people to call an ambulance, but Diddy and Justin left. Later, Diddy allegedly ordered Lil Rod to lie to the police and say G was shot in a drive-by outside the studio. Christian Combs is also facing accusations in a different lawsuit. Grace Omar K. claims Christian sexually assaulted her on a yacht in December 2022 and that Diddy was involved. There are also disturbing allegations about Diddy's behavior with his family. Some say he had an inappropriate interest in his mother, talking about her sexually in front of others, and even kissing her on the lips. A resurfaced video from 2022 shows him smoking with his mother, joking about making a strip club for her, and then kissing her.
Also allegations that Diddy forced these victims to have sex with prostitutes as he touched himself. He called these situations freak-offs, and oftentimes he recorded them. Here's where some of the allegations against his son Justin Combs come in. So all this takes us back to February, when Rodney Jones, also known as the producer Lil Rod, filed civil suit against Diddy. In his lengthy lawsuit, Lil Rod straight name drops Justin Combs, describing him as someone who solicits prostitutes, underage girls, and sex workers. There's actually a picture of Justin Combs with an allegedly underage girl shown in the lawsuit. Now, in this specific instance, Lil Rod alleges at least one underage girl came to Diddy's home for a listening party. A sex worker was also apparently solicited, and a freak-off ensued. As an aside, this is the same night that Lil Rod alleges Diddy forced him to take a laced shot. He started to feel lightheaded and then woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning, naked next to a sex worker. It's important to note Justin Combs is listed as a defendant on this case because, according to Lil Rod, he facilitated Diddy's alleged RICO enterprise. According to court documents, it happened on September 12, 2022, outside Diddy's Chalice Studios. Lil Rod says Diddy, his son Justin, and Justin's friend who went by G were all there when things got heated. Lil Rod says he heard multiple gunshots ring out and later found G on the bathroom floor in the fetal position. Lil Rod says he was bleeding out of his hip and leg area. Lil Rod says he was applying pressure to G's wounds and then asked the crowd to call an ambulance. At that point, both Diddy and Justin Combs disappeared to another part of the studio. Diddy then gave strict instructions to inform the police that he had nothing to do with the shooting. He also forced Mr. Jones to lie to the police by telling them that G was shot standing outside the studio by a drive-by assailant. So that specific allegation involves Diddy's son Justin, but another allegation and entirely separate civil lawsuit involves his other son Christian, or King Combs. Grace Omar K alleges that Christian Combs sexually assaulted her on a yacht in December.
Insiders in the industry are speaking out about Diddy's strange relationship with his son Quincy Combs. Quincy is the biological son of singer Al B. Sure and model Kim Porter, whom Diddy adopted when Quincy was about 3 years old. Freddie P., an artist who was allegedly blackballed by Diddy and worked closely with him in his early years, has stated that something strange was always going on between Diddy and his stepson that name. I look at his kids and everything, but there are deeper questions than I would like to know, such as why you were so EFF faction waiting with a child that wasn't yours. Were you raising that little boy?
My mom's gorgeous. Hold on, let me introduce you to my mom. Call Mom Dukes.
Hi.
She's getting a drip with me. She's hydrated. What's up, Mom?
Everything's good, baby. I'll be with you.
Yeah.
I love you.
I love you too. Mom, freshly dipped though.
What? You gotta be good with me.
I was trying to show you. Yeah, my mom's is single. Mom's is single. I ain't gonna hate on my mom. She's single. Me and my mom talked about one time doing a dating show with her. She's so picky. She's so picky, they don't stand. But yeah, that'd be the funniest show in the world.
It will be. Especially with me.
I don't even want to get started if she was doing that. We're not doing that. Cause yeah, my mom's single. Yeah, for real. Mom do know how to have a good time. She ain't sitting in the house playing. They outside moving and shaking, baby.
Yeah, that's right.
She come with me to the strip club. I don't care. For real. It's my dog. You know, I want to live life. We out here moving and grooving. So my mom told me she...
Combs was put in a special housing unit and placed on suicide watch, which is common for high-profile inmates. 2 judges denied him bail. His lawyer, Mark Agnifilo, asked for him to be moved to the federal detention section of Essex County Jail, but the judge left that decision to the Bureau of Prisons. Federal trial attorney Philip Hamilton said being in lockdown might make it harder for Combs to prepare his defense.
With that type of character, you don't mind actually doing it to him when he finally reaches a certain age, because he's not yours. And you know in your mind he's not yours. And now you keep him real close to you. You make sure he don't go to his daddy. Why? You make sure he's separated with him and you provide him with everything he wants. Why? You got one of them little Michael Jackson secrets. He got one of them secrets that he can't tell nobody because his legacy, his manhood gonna be, and not only that, his brother don't gonna look at him crazy. Only Puffy know, only God and Puffy.
Quincy, right?
I don't know. All I'm gonna say is, I don't know.
Al B. Sure, son?
All I'm gonna say is, who's infatuated?
Detainees on suicide watch wear tearaway hospital-style clothing and rubber shower shoes. The hardest part for Combs might be the isolation. This is for his safety, since the facility is known for violence. He won't have a cellmate or contact with other inmates, which makes his situation different from a regular prisoner who would go through intake, get a cellmate, and join the general population. Right now, things aren't looking good for Diddy. He's not built for prison and is struggling. MDC has a history of violence, and because he's famous, he's a target. Plus, pedophiles don't last long in prison.
Behind bars. He's here inside MDC, where he's been since his arrest on Monday night on federal sex trafficking and other charges, to all of which he's pleaded not guilty. There's no VIP section. There is no concierge, only conmen, killers, and kingpins. MDC is so bad, federal judges have questioned the harsh conditions for those here awaiting trial. So bad, I was here 2 years ago during a cold spell, reporting on detainees with no heat, pounding on windows for help. There was even a congressional inquiry. But take the word of a former inmate I spoke with who goes by Esco.
It's terrible. The food is terrible. Of course, the inmates are terrible. The guards are terrible. The conditions are terrible. It's just terrible.
The inmates that you're surrounded around, just in general, a lot of them are brought up on pretty heavy federal indictments, right? So just in terms of the atmosphere there, it's just certainly one that no one wants to be in.
Combs was placed in a special housing unit and on suicide watch, the standard protocol for high-profile celebrity detainees. The disgraced mogul was denied bail by 2 separate judges. His attorney, Mark Agnifilo, asked the court to transfer him to the federal detention section at the Essex County Jail, but the judge deferred to the Bureau of Prisons. Federal trial attorney Philip Hamilton says lockdown can mean a lot less time to prepare your defense.
In terms of fighting their case, it just makes it all the more difficult, because now in terms of you being able to communicate with your attorney, you are at the realms of just what's going on with respect to the facility. Is it on lockdown? Is the facility letting visitors in?
Detainees on suicide watch wear tearaway paper hospital-style garments and rubber shower shoes. The isolation may be the worst part for Combs. It's being done for his protection in the violence-prone facility. He will have no bunkie.
He's probably not going to have any contact with any other inmates. So for him, it's going to be a little different than for a person like me, where I will go in, I will go through process and intake, and then they'll assign me a cell, and I'll have a bunkie or a cellmate, and I'll be in population.
For him to be able to get out at this point.
Details about Diddy's life in jail have come out. He is reportedly being kept in protective custody and is not allowed to be with the general prison population. Right now, he spends 23 hours a day under surveillance and only gets 1 hour of recreation time. He is allowed 3 showers a week. His meals, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, are delivered to his cell. Instead of the fancy meals he used to have, he now eats simple foods like egg noodles, cereal, chili, and peas. There are vegetarian options if needed. If he wants other food, the commissary at MDC Brooklyn offers extra snacks and items for purchase.
On Earth, the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn is notorious for its appalling living conditions and rampant violence. How bad is it inside this federal lockup? There have been 2 murders, 4 suicides, and numerous stabbings and lockdowns in recent years. It's so out of control inside that 4 federal judges are reportedly refusing to send any more prisoners here. Donald Trump's former fixer, Michael Cohen, spent a harrowing year in federal custody. He says for someone used to a life of luxury like Diddy, prison life is a severe shock.
You have a desk, you have a plastic chair, you have your bed with a 1.5-inch mattress, no pillow, and you also have a locker. So you basically have 3 feet by 5 feet to move around. So you have a basic 15 square feet. It is a horrible, horrible place.
Diddy's lawyers were so eager to keep him out of jail, they offered his palatial $48 million home in Miami Beach and his private jets as bail. Today, they are even offering to restrict female visitors to his homes, except for his mother, daughters, and the mothers of his children if he is released. They told the judge the jail he was being sent to is dreadful, dirty, inhuman, and an ongoing tragedy.
How's your dad doing?
How's your dad doing? Family members appeared somber as they arrived at federal court in Manhattan today in another attempt to get out on bail. The judge cited Diddy's history of violent temper and potential intimidation of witnesses as reasons for keeping him behind bars. Diddy's former protege, singer Aubrey O'Day, is celebrating Diddy's downfall today. I feel validated, a win for women all over the world.
Combs has pled not guilty.
Reports about Diddy's alleged mental state have surfaced. According to a source at MDC, he was found crying and begging to be released.
Behind bars look like. He reportedly only gets 1 hour daily of recreation and 3 showers a week. He's served breakfast, lunch, and dinner that is delivered to his cell. But instead of extravagant meals he was once accustomed to, he can expect foods like egg noodles, cereal, chili, peas, and if needed, there are reportedly vegetarian options as well. But if those foods don't work, MDC Brooklyn's commissary list has a list of additional foods and snack items, including a 6-pack of Hershey bars for $7.05, peanut butter for a little more than $3, stuffed chicken with rice for $5.75, plus more options. Diddy was once a staple at New York's biggest fashion event of the year, the Met Gala, and a frequenter of fashion weeks across the globe. Now will be forced to wear clothes not from haute couture, but instead a switch up to essentially sweats. For extra clothes, he can purchase a sweatshirt for a little more than $16, New Balance sneakers for about $55, boxer briefs for a little more than $6, plus a bath towel and washcloth set for about $12. And while confined to a cell for 23 hours a day, which is a huge difference from throwing now infamous parties, to pass the time, Diddy can purchase an MP3 player for a little under $90. But according to reports, he has a spending limit of $160, a huge downgrade from the millions he was seemingly.
With all the pressure on Diddy and how he's reacting, it's no surprise that his lawyers are worried. Sources close to him say he is not built for prison, and if things continue like this, he might harm himself. This is why he was placed on suicide watch when he first arrived at MDC. Diddy is not a hardened criminal. He has always had guards protecting him. But now he's alone, and the same people he once blackmailed are coming after him.
That P. Diddy's on suicide watch tonight. Do your sources confer the same information? Are they saying it was possible?
Hey, real quickly, all that commissary stuff, he's not getting any of that because people in the SHU have an abbreviated list. So he's out of luck. No stake for him. Yeah, he is on suicide watch. This guy thought he would have went home. All of a sudden, he didn't get bond. Remember, the first night that he was there, he was like an overnight guest. When they told his bond hearing, now they checked him into the system, and reality has hit him. And I understand that he has a shrink coming by his cell to see him several times a day. And now there's talk about putting him in, it's like a bubble. It's like a cell that has like a plexiglass wall in it where they have inmates watching you. That's actually their job, to keep an eye on the inmates that are on suicide watch. Another error that I guess some warden told you this. There are sentenced inmates there. They're called cadre inmates. They don't have to be white-collar inmates, but they're doing maintenance on the building. And the problem, why there's a lot of violence there, they have housing units. And they're mixing bank robbers, drug dealers, rapists with white-collar people. And this is why Diddy, he can't go into a regular housing unit because somebody will take him out for sure. Somebody's gonna get a lot of street credibility out of this. People that are doing substantial time that know they're never getting out. They'll just kill a guy, no questions asked.
You think that they'd suck up to him because he's got a lot of money, and if he ever does get the commissary options, he would be able to help them.
Some people do because
I gotta wrap it real quick.
Okay, some people do think that Diddy can help them, but this guy's going to be locked up forever. His case will probably take at least 3 years to litigate. He'll stay at MDC. There's rumors that he wants to go to Essex County Jail in New Jersey because he doesn't like MDC. He's a Marshals inmate. There's no way they're going to transfer him back and forth, I don't know, several times a week, 6 Marshals to do it.
Jersey.
He's out of luck.
Reports have come in about Diddy's alleged mental state. And according to a source at the MDC, Diddy was found crying, asking to be let out.
According to a report from the Daily Mail, that's why Diddy had a breakdown. A person close to him apparently said, quote, spending the holidays behind bars was a nightmare for him. If we're to believe all this, Diddy had a meltdown in his cell and begged the guards to take him to the hospital for observation, but they refused. This same friend or person told the Daily Mail, quote, he eventually managed to calm himself down with the meditation technique he's been using while he's been behind bars. It took him a few hours of deep breathing and focusing to get out of the bad space he was in, but he finally managed it. This isn't the first time Diddy's mental health has come into question while he's been at MDC. When he first arrived, he was on suicide watch, which the U.S. Department of Justice National Institute of Corrections describes as supervisory precautions taken for suicidal inmates that require frequent observation. Diddy's suicide watch was only temporary, though. He was housed in a special protective unit of the
Diddy's legal team has applied for bail 3 separate times and even compiled a list of stringent measures that Diddy would follow if he was allowed to get out, but Judge Ein has denied his appeal.
I just don't see him able to do time behind bars. Maybe if he'd be in a camp type situation, that's a possibility. But based on the lifestyle and what he's done and what he's accomplished, if he had to go behind those bars for a lot of years, I think that he may commit suicide. He'd do an Epstein.
Why do you think he didn't pull a Russell Simmons and leave the country?
They was watching him, bruh. They was watching him. And then I think that he had to turn over his passport. Even if you own your own private jet, they have a system up there whereas that they supposed to check your passport and anything that you need to fly as if you were flying commercial. He's suffering the consequence and I don't feel bad for him at all. Because people was trying to talk to him. People was trying to tell him. You couldn't pull him by the coat and let him know anything. You understand? They messed up the game, brother. When he put that shit out with them, money, power, respect, it ain't never been like that. It ain't never been like that. You got your respect in the street that gave you your power, that brought you your money. Totally different thing. He let that money, power, and respect go to his head, but he had it ass backwards. So do I care what happened? Nah. He got enough money to buy his way out of this. So we think.
So when you look at that video of him pacing around and he's looking worried, and you knowing him, do you think it's possible that he might commit suicide?
When you're a narcissist, there's always a possibility because you're suffering. But I don't think that he can see himself in a cage. I don't think he can see himself behind those bars in those type of situations. It's too many real dudes that dislike him. But then again, there's a lot of real dudes that need help. And him being behind bars, he could probably help them.
Diddy's legal team has applied for bail 3 separate times and even compiled a list of stringent measures that Diddy would follow if he was allowed to get out. But Judge Ein has denied his appeal.
Why is that not a fair outcome?
What he did here is on a magnitude of unlike anybody else you could imagine. A week after these public searches were televised, he gave us his passport. His children gave us his passport. He then paid off the mortgage entirely on his Miami home, $18 million. It's instructive that he's going to have a bail package ready so that if he was arrested, he would have something ready so that he could get out the next day and show the judge he's taking this very seriously, which he is, which is why 12 days ago, Chris, When we thought there's an indictment that may be coming, he flew to New York the very next day. And that's an extraordinary move for a defendant who's been under investigation that he's been aware of for at least 6 months. He has done everything somebody under investigation can do. I can't think of anything else that he could have done. He's fighting. He's fighting, he's innocent, and he's going to be able to show it.
What do you think about that counter argument? Because his team has said we're going to put together the proposed bail package. A $50 million bond, co-signed by him, his mom, his sister, the mother of his oldest daughter, and his 3 adult sons. It's going to be secured by the equity in his property in Miami, Florida. Home detention, his passport will be surrendered. The government said that's insufficient. They said, look at the charges, look at the weight of the evidence that I just mentioned. They said they have allegations that he and his associates were trying to tamper with witness testimony last year so that they wouldn't cooperate with the government. What do you take away about who has the stronger argument in terms of bail?
Well, I think his counsel has done the best they possibly can. I think bringing him there voluntarily is very smart. Starts them out on the right foot. But I think the last thing that you just mentioned, the interfering with witnesses.
Diddy's chances of getting bail are lower than ever, and it looks like he will remain behind bars until at least May 2025. This is because his legal team has now admitted that the freak-off tapes exist. Attorney Mark Agnolo claimed that the tapes, provided by one of Diddy's alleged victims, show consensual intercourse and prove his innocence.
This is Diddy's ex, who first filed that initial sexual assault lawsuit against Combs back in 2023. She was in that infamous surveillance footage that was published by CNN of an incident that happened in a hotel hallway where Combs is beating Ventura just while wearing a towel. It's a very disturbing video. He argues the videos don't show any orgies or celebrities or violence or coercion or threats or manipulation or evidence of anyone being under the influence of drugs, that this is not sex trafficking. Quote, the premise that freak-offs are inherently dangerous shows that the government seeks to police non-conforming sexual activity and that it assumes, despite all evidence to the contrary, that a woman's willing participation must have been coerced. That's interesting because that's something we've long suspected, that the defense is not going to shy away from the term freak-offs. They might accept, yeah, Combs called these freak-offs, but this was entirely consensual. It was all on the up and up. It might be different to you and me, but there's nothing illegal going on here.
If they're really... If the government is the government in the Southern District of New York, I can't imagine this is what they're hanging their hat on if it's what the defense describes. It's like one of those things that when you have a weakness in a case, the government has to decide how they're going to use that. My guess is they're going to use it to show that there were sex workers, that these sex workers were paid. I would imagine that they have the sex workers.
Diddy's fall from grace continues to shock the world as more troubling details about his life in prison and his family's involvement emerge. From mounting lawsuits to his struggles behind bars, it seems like his past is finally catching up with him in ways no one expected. What do you think about these revelations? Could there be even more secrets waiting to surface? Let us know in the comments.